What's up, everyone? It's Kadi with Money Investing. So I hope you guys are all having a great, fantastic morning. So let me know in the live chat if you guys can see the screen, if you guys can hear me without any issues. We're going to break down some important things moving the markets today. I'm also going to break down CRSR Gaming's earnings. Right now it's sliding a little bit, down about 5.2%. Pre-market trading under $28, trading as low as $27.26. And Baba, you'll notice Alibaba is also down 74 basis points slightly. It did rally up to highs of $203, and right now we're back down to under $200 once again. So good morning, Caddy. You should do a video on how to remain so fresh after doing so many videos. Yeah, I mean, I am able to function on very little sleep, thankfully. So we're going to continue doing that. As much value as provided to you guys, that's even better. But yeah, I'm excited to get started on yet another market open live stream. Doing this a little bit earlier, so we got about an hour left for the markets to open. But CRSR Gaming earnings actually do begin in about 5 minutes. I'm trying to get that thing to work, but it's the player, it's the actual website that they're using seems to getting paused out every time I play it. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to listen in on that. I'll try it, we'll give it a shot. But if it keeps pausing, then we'll just have to skip that, and then I'll listen in on the earnings call at another time and do like a summarized video on that at a later time. So the report, well, first of all, I'm going to go over some things to consider today. So Tencent Holdings basically dropped over 11%, and the Chinese gaming stocks sold off as Beijing's crackdowns on private enterprise threatened to spread the online entertainment industry. So they also dropped another 11% today. I don't think they were down pre-market, but unless I have the wrong ticker here, but I should be fine. So it's down over 5.4% pre-market. Okay, so this is the U.S. Holdings. So this is the actual U.S. stock listed on the OTC market. But for Tencent, I think the ticker symbol is actually 700 listed on the Hong Kong exchange, which was down over 6% as of today's close. But at one point, you'll notice that we were down much more than that. So we were trading as low as $422. So this right here was a drop of over 10% for Tencent Holdings before kind of recovering a little bit after lunch, seems like. But again, Tencent pre-market, it seems like we are down roughly 5.4%, going back over to CRSR. But yeah, so that right there was something to look into. So Gensler, who is the chairman of the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, Chair Gary Gensler, will give a speech about crypto on a Tuesday, which is today. So if you come over to this 2021 Aspen Security Forum, this is actually very important. I don't know if anyone is going to be interested in this, but I'll see if I can actually do a live stream on this. So Tuesday, August 3rd, we've got a lot of people actually speaking regarding some affairs related to China's rising global influence, cryptocurrencies, and the Biden administration's trade agenda. So cryptocurrencies, I feel like, is going to be the super important piece of what they're going to discuss. And we got Gary right here. So let's take a look. So Gary Gensler, who's the chairman of the SEC, is going to be speaking on that. So I think that's going to be super important for where Bitcoin actually goes. We've been adding on to our Mara position because long term, I still believe that Bitcoin has a place in the fintech and the finance world. So I do think that we're going to see a little bit of volatility when he's going to be talking about cryptocurrencies moving forward. It's been just so weird watching people just get stunned by all the China stock drops. Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy, right? Some of the stocks are down over 95% from its highs. I mean, these are not like smaller drops that you can just shake off and just, buy the dip and just continue to rally higher. But these are like serious, like full-blown crashes for these stocks. I mean, some of the education companies have basically lost majority of their market cap. I mean, I was just reading up one of the educational companies which basically has the CEO, his name's Chen. He lost his net worth from $15 billion to over $330 million. Like, it's a 90%, over 90% drop. So this is not like a small pullback. This is like a pretty big story in itself, and how China's continuing to kind of crack down on some of those companies. So again, this is going to be an important piece. We're going to kind of keep a close eye on this. It's going to probably move Bitcoin prices, Ethereum prices, cryptocurrencies in general. So we'll watch that as well. Yes, we're going to go over CRSR Gaming in just a second. So Elon Musk also basically announced Tesla's AI Days. So that's going to be on August 19th. So in about 16, 17 days left for Tesla's AI Day. So we're going to learn more about artificial intelligence, the hardware and the software side of things, and how Tesla basically plans to fully become autonomous in the future, right? So that level 4, level 5 autonomy, including their camera-based systems, including vision, which is going to be very important, and how they actually plan to do that with artificial intelligence. So those are just some catalysts that I wanted to break down for you guys before we jump over to the earnings for Corsair Gaming. So net revenues came in at $529 million, an increase of 71.6% year over year. Gamer and creator peripherals segment net revenue was $175.9 million, an increase of 131.9% for that specific segment year over year increase as well. And then you'll notice that gaming components and system segments revenue $353 million, an increase of almost 52% year over year. Gross profit was about $160.3 million, increase of 103% year over year. So these right here are going to be my estimates from the company. So I was expecting about $550 million. They actually reported $529 million, so I was actually a little bit off, but I'd say it was like pretty aligned, just about off by $20 million. So gross profit actually was 154 for my estimate. They actually reported 160 million, right? So it was pretty aligned with what my personal expectations was. I was basically off by $6 million in my estimates for the gross profit. So taking into account the operating income, 67.3 million. So my operating income was at 53.9 million. So it actually came in a little bit higher. That really goes to show that they're doing some good cost control for the company, so they probably are not spending as much money as I forecasted for R&D, marketing, general administrative expenses. So their operating income came in a little bit higher than my anticipation. Net income at 46.7 million or 47 cents per share. So they actually reported that number, and my expectations were at 44 million. EPS came in at 44 cents per share, so net margins at 8%, but they actually came in a little bit higher as well. So pretty aligned with the gross profit, the revenue, and the net income. Operating income was a little bit slightly off. So adjusted EBITDA, $80 million, an increase of 196.6%, with adjusted EBITDA margin of 15.2% for the company. And as of March 31st, 2021, we had a cash and restricted cash balance of about $125.6 million, for $48.1 million in capacity under our revolving credit facility, and total long-term debt at $294. So cash at $125, debt at $294. So that's a little bit of a ratio that we don't particularly like, but I do have the total assets versus total liabilities. That's really strong for Corsair Gaming. And cash from operations was $27.8 million, an increase of $2 million in the same period last year. So moving forward for the financial outlook for the company, they're raising their net revenue to be somewhere between 1.9 to 2.1 billion dollars. So that right there is going to be their outlook. Actually, I'm so sorry. I am looking at the wrong one. Yep, you guys are right. I had the wrong one up. So they haven't reported yet. Here, let me take a quick look on there. Thanks for mentioning that. That is the right one. Yep, so you guys are right. No problem. We're going to pull that up very quickly. That's funny. You know what? Till then, we're just going to break down Alibaba's report. Hopefully, I have that one right. So this one should be August 3rd, right here at 4:24 p.m. So this is Alibaba's. We'll just go over this very quickly, and then we'll jump over to Corsair Gaming. So all right. So if they're down, that means they actually did not report those numbers. We'll have to kind of revise that, and we'll kind of look at that. Just scratch the first 5-10 minutes that I was just rambling on. But all right, so Alibaba delivered strong revenue growth, 34% year over year. As it said in last quarter's results announcements, we are investing our excess profits and additional capital to support our merchants. So revenue came in at $31.8 billion, an increase of 34% year over year. Oh my God. And the replay, this thing is just going to be so bad. But anyway, so excluding the consolidation of SunArt, our revenue would have grown 22% to about $29 billion. Annual active consumers have grown to 1.18 billion. That's going to be the users for the last 12 months ending in June 30th, 2021. An increase of 45 million for the 12 months ended March 31st, 2021. So this includes 912 million consumers in China and 265 million overseas. Income from operations at 4.7 billion, decrease of 11%. Adjusted EBITDA also declined 5% year over year. And adjusted EBITDA on a non-GAAP measurement also decreased 8%. So that's probably because they're investing a lot of money into some of the other operations. So the year-over-year decrease were primarily due to our investments in strategic areas to capture incremental opportunities. Net income was at just about $7 billion net income net income to ordinary shares at just about $7 billion. And non-GAAP net income was at 6.7 billion, an increase of 10% year over year, and diluted EPS at $2.54. Non-GAAP diluted EPS at $2.57 for the company as well. So, all right, all in all, Alibaba slightly down, not a huge deal there. So, pretty much down about 44 basis points. But again, we already broke down Alibaba's chart in the video that I put out earlier today. So it's still trading kind of inside this downtrending channel, making lower highs and lower lows. So the support sits at 180, all the way was 170. Both of those levels are very attractive buying opportunities in my opinion for Alibaba stock. And the resistance is going to be all the way highs at this lower high that we see on the chart, all the way somewhere between 225 to as high as $245 per share. All right, so let's see if we can actually find Corsair Gaming's earnings here. So I'm just going to do a quick search to find out what they actually reported. I mistyped on Google search earlier, and that's why I basically went over to their other one. So I went over to the Maze report. All right, so not seeing great numbers at all from Corsair Gaming. So, all right, let's take a quick look. So, all right, Corsair Gaming misses EPS. So missed by 3 cents, misses revenue. 2021 outlook unchanged. So Corsair Gaming Q2 non-GAAP EPS came in at 36 cents, misses by 3 cents, and GAAP EPS of 28 cents, misses by 3 cents as well. Revenue at 472 million. Okay, so that's an increase of 24% year over year. Missed by $2.2 million. So actually that is substantially lower than my personal expectations from the company. So they were at roughly 550. They reported 472, an increase of 24%. And EPS also, mine was 44 cents. They actually came in at 36 cents per share. Adjusted EBITDA at 51.6 million versus 57.1 million consensus. Cash from operations was at 31.6 million, which decreased from 73.6 million in the same period last year. And for the year, Corsair sees revenue at 1.9, 2.1 billion, so that's unchanged with the consensus at 2.07. So that's very aligned with what their forecast is. Adjusted operating income at 235 to 255 million. And adjusted EBITDA also at 245 to 265 million dollars. So all in all, I'd say that this is a little bit of a disappointing report, but we also have to understand that gaming in general is going to slow down, similar to what we just looked at for Amazon as well, right? Retail spending isn't as strong as what we have seen in the past. I think gaming, with the reopening of the economy, is handling like very similar behavioral metrics. That's why we're seeing a drop in revenue. Hence a weaker guidance and like a lower EPS as well, because the profitability line is also decreasing because your cost of operations is perhaps the same. If you're bringing in lower revenue, that's going to decrease your EPS, right? If your cost of operations remains the same and you're bringing in more revenue, that's what happens with a lot of tech companies. That's why they're able to kind of benefit from that operating leverage, because even if your operating expenses are the same, you can increase that revenue by growing your bottom line, so EPS grows substantially. But in case of Corsair Gaming, right now as it stands, it's the opposite that's actually happening, as their operating expenses pretty much remain the same, and the decline in revenue quarter over quarter and a small increase year over year of 24% is not enough for their bottom line to actually increase as well. So now trading under $28 per share at the moment. Let's see if they actually have their
market, or the rate of growth in video game software. So
yeah, I don't know what's going on with that Corsair's earnings call. Like I mentioned earlier, that is having some issues, and every time I try to play it, it gets paused out. But nonetheless, I wanted to kind of go over some of those reports here. And yeah, so that's about Corsair's Gaming. Well, I'll see if I want to buy some more at the market open, still down about 6%. I think as gaming starts to recover a little bit, I could see the stock back up to over $30, $35. Remains a profitable company, right? It's got strong free cash flows. We've done some fundamental analysis on the company as well. Year-over-year growth is still kind of slowing down. But their revenue guidance at $1.92 billion still represents a strong growth year-over-year for the company as well. So I think it's still going to be on my radar. If it continues to kind of pull back and drop, below 28, 27, it kind of stays around these levels, then I think it's going to be a strong opportunity to kind of accumulate more shares for the company at these levels. So again, it's now starting to break down below that support level that we talked about at $28.50. That's the breakdown that we're seeing pre-market for the company. All right, so PayPal. So PayPal, we've already talked about this company. I think it had a decent earnings call. It was very overbought at 310. That was like our price target. So $310 was kind of like the resistance that we were watching for the company. It became overbought, so the RSI was well over 70 levels. The MACD was also a little bit on the overbought side. So now we're seeing the RSI come down to an oversold level. The MACD is also coming down. So at 246, that's going to be aligned with that 200 SMA, is where I'm going to be personally adding more shares of PayPal stock right there, close to $246 per share at those levels. So Baba announced a share buyback program increase, which probably holds the price. Yeah, so I think they announced like $15 billion in share buybacks, which is like the largest in the company's history. So that's obviously going to help the earnings per share moving forward, and of course that really helps with the dilution part of our analysis, right? When we look at the fundamental analysis of any company, we want a company that has low debt and low dilution, right? So low dilution really goes to show that they're not constantly raising more capital by issuing more shares or diluting the actual equity shareholders. So that's good. Every time a company is doing share buybacks, that's a good positive sign, because they also cited that they do forecast long-term growth for Alibaba's business in the future. So that's a positive for the company. Same thing with AMD, right? AMD is also doing $4 billion worth of share buybacks right now. So that's actually helping the earnings per share in the future. That's going to help the price to earnings for the company as well. So ready for Palantir earnings? Yes. So Palantir is also going to be reporting not this week, but next week. So Palantir's been doing incredibly well, kind of holding above this range that we talked about. $21 is actually holding up as a really strong support level here for Palantir stock, and of course $23 is going to be a resistance to watch for this company, right? That's where the 200 SMA is. That's also perhaps where the 50 EMA is. So if I bring this up, you'll notice that 50 EMA and the 200 SMA sit perfectly at close to $23 a share. So that's the resistance. Support at 21. I personally don't see Palantir breaking down below $21 unless there's a strong correction from the NASDAQ and the S&P, or from the broader market. So if you are someone who's invested in Palantir for the long term, if you want to start a new position, again, you need to do your own due diligence. But these right here, around $21, I'd say is like an ideal entry point for Palantir stock to kind of build out a position for the longer term, because they've actually told us that they are going at a 30% growth rate compounded for the next 4 to 5 years till 2025. That's going to put us at a run rate of about $4 billion in revenues. So $21 remains the support level for Palantir. I think it's a very strong level of demand. We've kind of held that level once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5 times, several times in the past. So I think that's going to be a very strong level to just hold up for Palantir. Carnival Cruise Lines. So, by the way, what do you guys think about the rising number of cases? I feel like it's not being looked at. It's just, there's not a lot of attention to that, but I think it's like slowly just like creeping up. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some measures taken. We're already seeing some things happening in Europe, of course, India, here in Asia as well. But I don't know if North America is going to do anything or take any measures related to any lockdowns or anything very similar. But there are like cases coming back up out of nowhere, and it's only the summer. Like, we're going into the fall as well. But yeah, I mean, that being said, I mean that could not dwell well for the recovery stocks, including Carnival Cruise Lines and some of the other airlines as well. So moving forward, I mean, I'd let the kind of like the dust settle down, because there's no certainty as to how these companies are going to play out. These are great swing trades. There's no doubt about that. These are great swing trades if you are interested in those. But as long-term holds, you have to be very careful, because the debt levels for these companies remain incredibly high, and with the amount of restructuring that they're doing to remain afloat with very little to no revenues that they're getting, is really questionable long-term prospects for these companies as well. So swing trade opportunities, absolutely. There's going to be some support levels to watch here for Carnival at closer to this level, at close to $19 per share. So previous resistance that we validated, and support level over here, and support level here as well. So if you do get a retest of that level, wouldn't be surprised for us to get a rebound back up to over $23, $24. It's going to be aligned with those moving averages. So we got the 200 SMA and the 50 EMA sitting perfectly over there for Carnival Cruise Lines. So all right, let's take a look at NNDM here, Nano Dimension. So one of the things for the small cap, mid cap space that we have to constantly monitor are some of the valuations, because I was just mentioning this to one of our members in Discord, is every company will have a price to sales ratio. Every company, regardless of what company it is. If they don't have a price to earnings, that's fine. That means they're not profitable. But every company that's publicly available to trade will have a price to sales ratio, unless there's only one catch, unless it's a SPAC, unless it's like a concept stock, or like it's just trading on an idea and it hasn't really sold anything yet, right? If any company has sold at least $1 worth of product or service, it will always have a price to sales. So if you're analyzing any company, do me a favor, just look at the price to sales ratio of that company, right? That's the bottom line, most basic fundamental valuation metric that you can look at and get a good understanding on whether the company is like overvalued, undervalued, fairly valued, just to get a good estimate of where that's trading, right? Of course, fundamental analysis, a lot of due diligence needs for us to go into a lot more deeper, like understand the cash flows, understand the income statement, right? Where the revenue is coming from, the margins for the company, right? Total addressable market, right? All those different things are kind of like the second wave. But if you're just trying to screen a stock, at least look at the price of sales, right, for the company. And that's basically market cap divided by revenue. That's all you're doing. You're looking at the market cap for the company and you're dividing that by a full fiscal year revenues worth of that company, right? So if you come over to, let's take NNDM for example, statistics, price to sales, it shows 336 times sales. That's where it's trading at right now. So price to sales ratio. You can use that on TradingView. You can use that on Yahoo Finance. Let me just pull that up very quickly. So just so we are on the same page, we're going to open up Yahoo Finance. So we're going to go over to NNDM. Let's see if they have that on here. And this is all like free, right? You don't have to pay for any of this. So you can come over here and you can look at the price to sales ratio as well under statistics. So you just type in the company name. So right now we're looking at Nano Dimensions, and you look at the price to sales ratio right here under statistics, right? And Yahoo Finance shows it's like 460. That just means that it's trading at 460 times revenue. Does anybody know how much the S&P 500 or like Apple trades at? Apple trades at for price to sales. For or any like a regular, like a fair valuation stock, regardless of the industry, right? Some companies have higher price to sales because they're in a different sector, versus some companies that have a lower price to sales because they're in a different sector. Does anybody know what is like the regular, like fair price to sales ratio that it should trade at? So what do you guys think Apple trades at in terms of price to sales? Apple, just tell me where Apple trades at for price to sales, just for context. So far, I'd say like Stefan. All right, so Fresh Aquariums is actually the closest one. Arun, Fresh Aquarium, and Stefan are like the closest ones. Less than 10, right? Apple trades at 7 times sales. Amazon trades at roughly 4 times sales. Tesla trades at a much higher valuation, trades at roughly 20, 25 times sales, right? So price to sales, every company will have that. And NDM trading at well over 300. You just have to ask yourself a question, whether this is a long-term play of these valuations. Are you okay paying this much premium, or if this is just a swing trade, right? If this is a swing trade, all the power to you, that's completely fine. But just from a long-term perspective, from a fundamental standpoint, it's a little bit rich just at these valuations, right? It's trading at 1.8 billion market cap. So in terms of technicals, support level for NNDM, there's going to be a couple of them. The first one actually validated this support here. So this right here, close to $6 a share. So we'll bring that down here. So it's going to be the support, and the resistance is going to stay put at close to $7 per share right here. So that right there is going to be the resistance, close to $7, $7.20. All right, so Apple, around 10 for growth. Yeah, I'd say like between 7 and 12 for growth companies. Price to sales is I'd say it's still rich from like a traditional metric, but that's the market that we're in right now. It's pretty much everything is just trading at these exuberant numbers. So somebody asked for Intel. Intel's price to sales, you'll take a notice, it's trading at 2.83, right? Less than 3 price to sales. So that's where it's trading at. Price to earnings at 12, right? So it's a profitable company, it has price to earnings. Intel may be a stock that we've already covered. It's an undervalued company in my opinion. $53 is a strong support, all the way as low as $48, both of which are very strong support levels for the company. So it's the one to consider as well. All right, so let's take a look at. So yeah, no, I said price to sales. Price to sales. That's what I mentioned. That every company is going to have a price to sales. Price to earnings is about earnings per share, right? EPS. That's the profitability of the company. Not every company is going to be profitable, so that's not a fair comparison that we can look into. And also price to earnings, like EPS, it's a great metric, but it's kind of flawed in my opinion because EPS can be adjusted and manipulated in so many different ways. That's why I personally like to look at EBITDA when I'm doing my fundamental analysis, or like earnings before interest, taxes, all those different fluff that's taken out, and you're looking at the earnings. That's better comparisons when you're looking into different companies. So Fiverr, yes, so Fiverr is actually a great company in my opinion that we are looking into very closely right now. So it's trading at about $233. We've taken a couple of swing trades on it, which have been very, very good. So we had an earlier swing trade right here from this bull flag breakout. We basically had a target at 230, jump over 16%, but it ended up rallying even higher to highs of $250. That right there is the resistance for the stock. We actually can move that higher a little bit more, 257. But yes, the earnings are coming up for Fiverr. They're going to be before the market opens on Thursday, so we'll be watching that very closely. Before that, we're watching like Etsy. Etsy is a stock that I really want to own, but it's just like it needs to come down a little bit. It needs to I need it at my desired level. You know what I mean? So like if it comes down to like 150s or even 160s, like I'd be fine paying that much for Etsy stock. But it's just been kind of hovering around 180, 200. We've taken a couple swing trades on it, so that's completely fine. But if it comes down, that is going to become more and more attractive from a more longer term perspective standpoint. So Etsy is reporting, Fiverr is going to be reporting, Bionano Genomics is reporting as well. So we already went over Alibaba and Corsair's earnings for both Q1 and Q2. Skills is going to be reporting after the earnings, after the close. So Skills is going to be a big one to watch. Lyft is also reporting. How is Nikola doing? I'm actually interested to find out how Nikola is doing today. Let's take a quick look. So it's up almost 2% here, but it's been on a consistent sell-off recently. I mean, it's just been on a consistent sell-off since like last year of June 2020. But there is going to be some support levels to watch. We're going to move that down here. A couple times we validated. And there is going to be another level to watch closer to this level at 1175. More like a resistance now because previous support potentially could act as a new resistance for the stock. So Roku, so fundamentally I haven't really looked into this company much, but they are also reporting their earnings along with Etsy after the markets close on Wednesday. So tomorrow, so we'll be watching that as well after the close. Concerned about Fiverr earnings after Upwork's earnings release. Yes, so Fiverr, I mean, it could drop, right? Upwork has had some volatility in the past. It's just been going a lot back and forth. So after the earnings, it basically dropped over 9.99%. You know, all these drops, if they're reporting some great numbers, they should be seen as buying opportunities. Like Square, we talked about it during our live stream. Well, we talked about it, yeah, so we talked about it during a live stream. It already reported earnings unexpectedly on Sunday. We were expecting a pullback the following day, and it did gap down over 4%, but then it ended up rallying over 10% yesterday to almost new all-time highs. So more often than not, the overreactions that we see for a lot of these earnings calls is a buying opportunity in my eyes. So if Fiverr drops to my desired level, you know, that's going to be an opportunity to kind of accumulate more shares. If Etsy drops after earnings, that's a definite buy for me. And then if other companies, including sort of Uber drops substantially more, Corsair like today, I'm probably gonna be buying some more shares at the open. And then we got DraftKings reporting. DraftKings, I'm kind of like trying to wrap my head around whether we're gonna see like a long-term prospect for DraftKings or not. I do believe in the company. I do believe that gaming, online sports betting is going to be a thing, but it's just that how much are they going to be able to grow, right? What the revenue number is going to look like 5 years down the road, that kind of thing. But But the markets right now, the Nasdaq is up over 16 basis points. We got the SPY that's up over 20, and the Dow is also up over 23 basis points as well. So Ford beat earnings, but the stock is down. So they actually reported last week, right? So Ford was last week. Let's take a quick look on cryptocurrencies and see where we are with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Is Wish reporting? Wish is not reporting earnings, right? So Bitcoin is now back down under 39,000. So 42,000, that was the resistance from our charts that we talked about. That is the labeled resistance here. And we're getting rejected at that, almost an identical level here. And then let's take a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum also is starting to pull back a little bit. So now we're just trading at 2,500. Previous resistance, we're starting to kind of like be like a little bit stabilize over around these levels. So the next support to watch for Ethereum is going to be sitting roughly at 2,000, 2,150 levels. We got the moving averages sitting perfectly right there, the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA as well. So right, so what's your take on no buyers coming in to scoop up Amazon at 7% discount even after days after their earnings? So Amazon is a stock that's very difficult to move. It's so when Square rallied, Square is still trading at a relatively lower valuation. So we're looking at $100 billion market cap, which in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the bigger companies, it's not that difficult for buyers to come in, and basically when the volume is at 45 million shares, that's a lot of buying power for Square. But for something like Amazon that's dropped over 7%, when it's a 1.8, almost a $1.92 trillion company, 7% drop is pretty big. For it to go back up 7%, that's like a lot of buying power to push that stock, right? We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars to basically move that stock price back up. So it's going to take some time. Amazon is going to take some time to actually recover. But in my opinion, again, the earnings were strong for the company. It's just the year-over-year comparisons that are now starting to come into play after having a blockbuster year in 2020, and now we're starting to see the sales kind of slow down, which is fine, but Wall Street needs to know about that. We can't just put Amazon in a quarterly vacuum and just like look at the company in this one quarter. Look at how far the company's come. This is the only company that's doing $100+ billion quarterly revenues 3 times in a row, trailing 12-month revenue well over $400 billion as well. So I think it's a strong opportunity to kind of accumulate more shares as they continue to ramp up their other segments as well. All right, last time I'll ask, but I would love your insight on quality beating down Chinese stocks like BEKE and HUYA. All right, so let's take a look at HUYA. I've never actually looked into this stock before. So HUYA, is that how you say it? It's a technology package software down about 35% year to date. Let's take a quick look on the fundamentals here. So statistics rating at 1.89 sales, that's good. 22 times earnings, that's also very good. Let's take a quick look on the balance sheet. So you got plenty of cash at 1.6 billion according to TradingView, and very little debt at 12 million. That's very rare for a company like this. So right, income statement, quarterly revenue has been very stable at around $400 million, 450. This right here, 402 million. But year over year, that's been a strong increase, so that's good. So 323 million to well over $1.5 billion. That's a strong growth for the company. Let's take a look at the free cash flows from 2017 at 30 million to well over 272 million. It saw a little bit of a decline in 2020 at 171 million, 37% decline here. So wonder what happened there. But all in all, I'd say revenue growth. We got statistics, valuations make sense, balance sheet is strong, free cash flow growing, and the stock prices has been coming down. It makes sense because at $36, I mean, I can only imagine what the valuation was like. And since then, it's dropped over 66%. So this is after a 66% drop that the valuations come down, right? 22 PE and a 1.89 sales. But earlier, when we were up over 200%, the valuations did get out of hand. And of course, I'm not really sure exactly what they do or where they're based out of. But just from an overall price action standpoint, seems like the company has been just trending down since 2018. This is understandable, like the last quarter of 2018 going into 2019, we had the US-China trade wars. A lot of stocks basically dropped, and this stock also dropped over 70%, it seems like. But since then, we've just been consolidating sideways and really struggled to find ground. And what I will mention now is that it's testing a very strong support level. I mean, this is a support that we validated coming in from March 2020 before rallying over 200%. So this is a strong area of demand for the company, right? This is a support that we validated here, and we're just testing that same level over here once again, which is going to be sitting roughly at $12, $11.75, right? So $11.75. So yeah, I mean, the RSI is probably very oversold. The MACD is really oversold. It makes for a very low risk, high reward trade. Even if we do get a retracement back up to that 50 EMA at $19, that's going to be a jump of 55%, or even up to like this resistance over here, which is previous support over here at close to $18. So you'll notice that this right here, previous resistance. Right here, so previous resistance, previous support, we validated that level, which is now acting as a resistance for the stock. Even if you do get a retracement back up to this level, that's going to be a jump of another 46-45%, with your stop limit can be right under 1175. This actually could be on our radar right now, so thank you for bringing that up. So I'm going to create some alerts on this stock. But yeah, I'm going to add this to the watch list as well. But I'll have to take a little bit more research as to why it dropped so much, or why it has been going down, right? I understand that prior to this, it could have been like a lot of the valuation issues, but recently, what the reason has been. So Pinterest, we've already covered extremely oversold levels. We've already talked about it several times. We've talked about it in our Discord. We've talked about it over here during our live streams as well. So yeah, Kathy Wood has basically sold off 95% of her Chinese holdings. I don't know. I've been actually questioning some of our decisions myself, because she has like time horizons 3 to 5 years out, mostly 5 years out. But when I look at their trades every day, it just feels like they're more of a trader. Like they're actually making decisions like a trader, as opposed to like having a thesis, having an investment horizon, and then not sticking to it. You know what I mean? Like, because I was surprised that they actually sold off like some companies like Tencent, Alibaba, some of those companies, because of this risk. When these are like really undervalued companies, right? In a different world, she would have been raising more capital to buy more, right? As she has been doing with a lot of other companies. But in the case of these stocks, she actually did sell, which was very surprising to me, and at very low prices as well. All right, so let's take a look at UAA. So UAE is going to be Under Armour. They're actually reporting their earnings as well, right? So Under Armour is actually before the open. Okay, so they are already up over 5.68%. Now let's take a look at what they actually reported. So adjusted EPS at 24 cents per share. So Under Armour reported and raised their full year outlook. So sees fiscal year adjusted earnings per share 50 cents to 52 cents. Sees fiscal year earnings per share 14 to 16 cents. Q2 adjusted earnings per share at 24 cents, earnings per share at 13 cents. So that's adjusted and non-adjusted, and earned revenues at 1.4 billion versus estimates at 1.2 billion. So actually a huge beat in revenues, and earnings came in at, well, the estimate was at 6 cents. They actually came in at 13 cents. So massive beat for both revenue and EPS, and they also raised their guidance. So fiscal year 2021 revenue is expected to be up at a low 20s% rate compared to previous expectations. So revenue guidance is $5.35 billion. So that's really strong from Under Armour, and deserves this breakout, in my opinion. Up over 5%. That's amazing. And we're now starting to see a little bit of a breakout from those moving averages as well, right? So that 200 SMA, we're getting a perfect bounce back higher. We're also trading above those this lower high that we were kind of forming in. The next level to watch is going to be kind of like inside this rectangle. So that's resistance coming in at $24, $25 a share. So that right there is going to be the resistance. All right. Your loss on 50% on Open Door. Yes, Open Door is also I feel like it's a very strong company similar to Zillow, but it's just a real estate market. Once the inventory kind of stabilizes, because right now, of course, not a lot of homes are being built because of the material cost that was running really high. But once the inventory kind of stabilizes, I do expect companies like Redfin, Zillow, and Opendoor to also kind of stabilize and start moving higher once again, because the volume and the traffic on their websites is gonna be slowing down as well. So Pan, waste of time here, so that's completely fine. Thank you for stopping by, and I appreciate it. All right, so let's take a look at CVS. So CVS has just been moving sideways for the most part. We did kind of get this sell-off over 11%. Didn't quite get that move to the upside from that 50 EMA. So the support level, there's a couple ones to watch. The first one is going to be sitting roughly exactly at this level where we're kind of bouncing off of at close to $82 a share, all the way as low as the $79, $80 a share for CVS. There is upside potential for the company. But it did quite move up very, very fast over here. So you'll notice that vertical move to the upside, kind of diverging away from that 50 EMA. So that was a jump of 21%, and right now it's getting more aligned with that 50 exponential moving average. So I'd wait for it to kind of validate some support levels before making the next leg up moving forward. So I don't think they reported earnings this week. I think they reported last week, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so they're reporting Wednesdays, tomorrow before the markets open. All right, let's see if you have any estimates here. So yeah, we can take a look at SolarEdge as well in a little bit. All right, let me see if I can find any estimates for CVS. All right, so the estimate for the CVS is going to be at close to $2.07 in EPS. And that's actually going to be a year-over-year decline of 21.6% for the company. The revenue is expected to be about $70 billion, up 7.3% from a year ago. So those right there are going to be the EPS estimates going into tomorrow for CVS stock. All right, let's take a look at VERI. So VERI, looks like we have done some analysis on this. So Kevin, yes, of course you're tanking. We did some analysis on this earlier, so if you want to go back and check the analysis and the technicals as well, you're more than welcome to, and can then kind of circle back to the live feed. But VERI, kind of hovering over that 50 exponential moving average. Let's take a look at some of the fundamentals here for the company. So trading at 10 times sales, balance sheet is reasonable. Quarterly revenues have been going up, but net loss has been increasing as well substantially, right? Coming in from $30 million. It was decreasing, and then all of a sudden in the first quarter 2021, it actually declined substantially. So for this stock, I'd watch its strong support at close to $16.50, and seems like we're getting rejected at that 200 simple moving average, and we've just been making lower highs for the company as well. So right now there is going to be some resistance that it needs to break out of at close to this $23 level. So previous support, resistance to watch, and I could see some more consolidation sideways until we see that move to the upside. So if you want to establish a newer position on this company, again, considering that you've done your due diligence and fundamental analysis on this, $16.50 is going to be a much ideal entry at this level for VERI. All right, let's take a look at Lockheed Martin. So Lockheed Martin is coming down to our support at 366. That's also aligned with that 200 simple moving average. This is a really slow moving stock. This is one of the biggest government contractors. So if you were kind of like into those things, if you were like into like dividend investing or more like value investing, if you're okay with like a low beta stock that's going to grow, but it's going to grow at a very, very slow rate, then Lockheed Martin might be the one to look into, right? So there is very clear resistance at this $396, $400 range, and the supports in roughly at 366. We saw some really strong move to the upside here. Well, strong in the context of Lockheed Martin is like a 19% gain. But so that right there is going to be support. But if it does come down to 337 or even lower, I think that's going to be an ideal entry for this company as well. Because you're getting almost a 3% dividend on the stock, and then you'll also get some capital appreciation, which in my opinion, the combination of the two is going to be very strong as a value play. Not a growth play, but this will be more like a value company. All right, let's take a quick check on the markets. We got about 20 minutes left for the markets to open. Started this live stream way too early today, so we got plenty of time left. But the NASDAQ is up over 18 basis points. The SPY is up over 16. And we got the Dow still up over 21. So the market's overall still looking decent. Let's take a quick look at Tesla. It's up over 1.28%, so still breaking above $700, staying above those levels. The volume was actually really good on Tesla stock as well yesterday. So we had well over 30 million as we were expecting. In our live stream, I mentioned that ideally I'd want to see Tesla's volume be over 30 million on the day and a close above $700 for us to see some more continuation and follow through on the stock as well. So 750 is going to be the next resistance level right here, and NEO is pulling back a little bit over 1.2%, which is very normal. $47 was the resistance that we were talking yesterday. We almost tested that level before seeing a little bit of a pullback down to $45.29. So $44 is a support I'm watching intraday for the NEO stock. Delivery numbers were okay, but we also learned about the floods in Germany, which basically caused some production halts. The battery issues, 100 kilowatt batteries also coming in with the supply chain issues and constraints there. So those are some of the reasons why production was actually down. And again, they're targeting the higher premium vehicle market, which is obviously causing NEO to underperform in deliveries versus XPeng and Li Auto as well. All right, let's take a quick look at AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. Slightly down, 27 basis points. By the way, how many of you guys got out of Alibaba at 110? Because I know that a lot of people, even in the comments and our Discord, said that they were kind of trimming their positions at 110. So let me know in the live chat if anybody got out on Advanced Micro Devices at close to 110. That was the price target. That's the resistance and the target price that we've had on AMD for a really long time. And this has been a strong uptrend from $74 and a jump of well over 51% for the company, right? So really, really strong move to the upside. So Milad says 107, Afar says at 110. That's great. Yep, reduced by 50%. Awesome, that's great. Yeah, if it gets up to like 109, 110, I'm considering trimming a little bit as well, only because A, it's moved up 51%, 52% in the last like few weeks, and the valuation's gone up slightly as well. And two, it's hit our price target, right? 110 was the price target we had, and that's already achieved. So we'll probably, if we get to hit that level once again. Yesterday, what happened was like I had a limit order on that. But then I canceled it, and then of course with the time zone difference, I wasn't awake till market close, and we actually hit that level like way late. Like it was like 1 in the morning or 1:15 in the morning when we hit that level, and of course I wasn't looking at the markets to actually take advantage of that. But then we kind of dropped down to 108, 109 to basically close at that level. Yes, so that is true. The gain is small compared to the possible pullback. That is a very good way to look at things when you look at the risk-reward ratios for the company and the stock as well. So yeah, non-farm payrolls and ISM numbers are out tomorrow morning. We may see the markets range bound today until those numbers were released. Yeah, so this right here is going to be the August 2021 calendar. We've already broken this down. So Wednesday, ADP non-farm payrolls, and then on Thursday we got the initial jobless claims, and we got the unemployment report coming out on Friday. This Friday is the first Friday of the month. So yes, I already talked about CRSR, so if you can go back and kind of check out the analysis, then you can jump over to the live feed. But Corsair Gaming, of course, is going to be very unemployment report is going to be very important for the markets this Friday, right? Right now it's sitting at 5.9%, and then we'll see where we kind of end up moving forward. All right, so let's take a look. So didn't sell any. Also, if you're a long-term AMD, I am long-term, but there's a couple things that you have to understand when it really comes down to investing. It's that you're only going to trim once your target price is achieved, right? If you have a predetermined price target on the stock, like we did with 110 with AMD, Tesla's at $1,000, NIO is at $75. Like, these are price targets that we have for these companies. When they get achieved, it's completely up to you if you want to trim your position, if you want to rebalance a little bit, because then these stocks become overweighted in your portfolio, right? If something goes up like 50% since like May 18, 20, like AMD did, it's up over 50%. Now it's becoming overweighted in your portfolio. Considering the market value that you have, it's going to have a bigger influence in your overall portfolio change. So you want to reduce that and bring it back to the original risk that you had for that stock. So that's what basically means by trimming a stock or rebalancing, so to speak. You're kind of rebalancing the risk between all the stocks. If something goes up, like Tesla went up over 1,000% like last year, many people who had Tesla, obviously Tesla became overweighted on their portfolios because it grew to such a big position in their portfolios, right? So that's why it makes sense why you want to consider some rebalancing from time to time, maybe every quarter, every month, kind of reassess your portfolio and see which companies have moved up quite a bit, which companies have actually really hit your target levels, price targets, which have moved up quite a bit, so you can kind of rebalance as well. Keep the market open streams, people will see you more. Thank you. Probably do that more. So patience pays over the long term. I couldn't agree more. So I think that's very important for long-term investing in general. All right, so we got about 15 minutes for the markets to open. We are gonna kind of create our charts here. So we got the split screens over here. We're gonna create another one right over here. So we're gonna move this to a 4 split chart. And we're gonna move this up to, all right, so Tesla. All right, NIO over here. All right, so 2 more stocks. Which ones are we looking at? I'm gonna put EMC. Let's see where that's trading. So $35, pretty much flat on the day so far. All right, let's take a look at Apple. Flat on the day, so 19 cents. Yeah, let's just look at Corsair Gaming. We'll put Corsair Gaming over here, down about 7% right now, and we'll put what is it? Let's take a look at Palantir. So Palantir also slightly up over 25 basis points. Let's take a look at Baba. Ooh, Alibaba pulling back as well, down about 2.4% right now. Let's just put Alibaba, Corsair, NIO, Tesla over here, and I'll quickly go over Solar Edge because I feel like somebody's been asking me about that stock for a long time. So all right, so where can I find pre-market quotes? Kunal, you can actually look at it on TradingView. So TradingView should have that pre-market analysis and quotes for that specific stock. So definitely make sure to check that out. But Solar Edge seems like it also reported their earnings and it's jumped over 14% pre-market right now. There is going to be some resistance closer to this level, like almost exactly where we're trading at 295, 294. Previous resistance over here as well. So let's see if we actually break out over this level. I'd want the stock to close above 295 on heavier volume after the earnings, and then turn that level into a new support moving forward. But this right here is going to be the next resistance that it needs to struggle or needs to break out over. It's going to struggle at this resistance. It needs to break out over this level at 317. Previous resistance that we got rejected at as well. So, all right, 2 resistance levels to watch for Solar Edge. And we got our 4 charts over here. So Alibaba really pulling back now down to 194, down about 2.8% right now. So let's take a look at Amazon here on the 5-minute chart, up over 14 basis points. Amazon is looking good today. Well, it's pretty much flat. It's not moving. It's only up like $4 a share, so I wouldn't say it's like looking good, but you know, it needs a lot of buying power for it to move, right? 7% for Amazon's market cap is going to be quite a lot of money for it to move, right? 10% in general is going to be $160 billion. That's more than Square's market cap. That's more than a lot of other companies' market cap as well. Ooh, Upstart, one of the companies that I did not go over. Upstart. This was part of our swing trade. By the way, you guys want to get access to all these swing trades and real-time buy and sell alerts, market updates as well. The link is going to be down in the description below for our Patreon. We actually did open up some spots in August, and we're also giving a 16% discount as well if you want to get access to all of that. So Upstart had a really strong day, up over 10% yesterday. We're now trading at 134. This was the complete swing trading idea. We actually never breached our stop limit on this one. Like, the stop limit was, support was at 110. We like literally hovered at that level for so long. This was like consolidating sideways for weeks now, since like June 14, well over a month and a half. We've just been going sideways. And finally we broke out over 10%. Well, we still have work to do. 134 is the resistance here that it needs to break out over. 134.50, call it, because we have gone several times, we've gone rejected at that very level. There is plenty of supply, I should say, like at this level right here. There is going to be plenty of resistance for Upstart to break out over 134.50, right? So trading almost exactly at 134 pre-market right now. So ideally I'd wanted to see a breakout over $134.50 and stay above that level on heavier volume. So you'll notice that volume on the day was 4.7 million, so much higher than the average 10-day volume at close to 2 million, so that's good. But I want Upstart at well over 134.50 as well moving forward. So there is plenty of upside still. I mean, my price target is at 170 levels. That's going to be roughly a 20% jump here from 26% jump from its current levels. So thanks for bringing that up. I completely forgot about this stock. So ChargePoint, let's take a quick look. So ChargePoint still hovering at around our support at $22, still kind of behaving in this pattern where it continues to form this lower highs. So lower highs being formed, support at 22.30 levels. And again, stop limits are going to be underneath this level. If it comes down, we're going to reassess this entry at close to 19 at $20 a share. This remains at a very high price to sales, which is why this is more of a swing trade as opposed to long-term just yet. But the infrastructure bill is still in progress right now. I believe I did read some news on that as well. So that is obviously going to help companies like ChargePoint in the future as well. So keep a close eye at $22. We continue to make these lower highs. But if you do get a breakout from this lower high pattern or like this descending triangle pattern, wouldn't be surprised to see a retest at $26, $27 a share. But in my opinion, considering this descending triangle, the likelihood or the probability is for us to see a breakdown, which is exactly why I have the next support or an ideal entry at close to $19, $20 a share for ChargePoint, at which point we would be down substantially lower at close to 40% from our recent highs of well over $36. All right, let's take a look at SoFi. So SoFi is now at 15, almost at $16 a share. So you'll notice that we are consistently getting rejected at the $16 level. We're just not able to close above this $16 level. So that's the level that SoFi needs to close above in order for us to see a successful continuation and some more follow through. There is still some bullish divergence, right? There is some positive divergence that we're seeing between the price and the relative strength index. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some more continuation and some more follow through for SoFi as well. So already up over 1.27%. We would want to see a close above $16 on heavier volume on this company as well. All right, so let's take a look at Alibaba. How's that doing? So Alibaba continues to pull back a little bit, trading as low as 194. We got Tesla still up over 1.27%. Let's take a look at Walgreens very quickly. This has also been Walgreens is more of a longer term play for me. But again, this you can also kind of take it as both as a swing trade and a long term play. Swing trade only because it's kind of testing that support. It's tested that support a couple of times at 48. This $46 level, but right now we're just getting rejected at that 200 SMA, so we're just struggling at that level at the moment. So previous support, we've just validated that level several times. So so we're going to be watching Walgreens as well. So 4% yield, again, it's a mix of both your value and your growth kind of mixed together. 4% yield is good, in my opinion. It's actually really good for a company like Walgreens. that also has the potential for a lot of capital appreciation and jump of 20-25% back up to like $50 ranges, because the earnings were great. The earnings sell-off, I think, was an overreaction when we dropped over 12%. The earnings were fantastic for the company. All right, so we're gonna circle back over here. We're gonna look into the market open here. Switch over to some of the companies. So Neo, we'll keep Corsair Gaming over here. We'll keep Alibaba, and we'll keep Tesla over here at the open. So far you'll notice on the one-day chart, let's see which sector is actually leading. So we got materials that are up with the yields down about 1.3%. So the 10-year yields are down about 0.5% right now, but on a relative basis we're still down, trading as low as 1.17. So actually we haven't talked about the yields in a long time, so let's just go over that very quickly. And now the yields, 1.17, the yields are really coming down. This could also be as a result of slower economic growth in the US that a lot of people may be forecasting for the US for the months to come. We also learned about the GDP numbers, which came in much lower than expectations at 6.5% versus 7%. So that is one of the reasons why the yields are really dropping pretty aggressively, and that's what's been causing a lot of the Nasdaq and the S&P, the broader markets, to push higher as well, right? Take a look at the volatility here. The VIX has pretty much stayed at around like 20-25 levels. So you'll notice it's trading at 19. We've gotten a couple of spikes here. First one is at 20, second one we literally touched at 25. And this right here is third time. We have gotten days where it's actually pushed up, but then we've seen sell-offs intraday. So, VIX is your guide. I mean, this is literally how you want to position yourself, either as a buyer or a seller. I mean, if it continues to rip higher and spikes, that's the time to actually be positioning yourselves as a really aggressive buyer. And that's what we've been preparing for. We're really trying to find value in this market where we can get both value and growth, considering that the valuation's not super crazy, so that we're able to take advantage of higher future returns, right? If you're overpaying for a stock, you're diminishing your future returns exponentially. So that's just simple arithmetic math, right? If you're looking at future returns. All right, thoughts on Spotify after the gap down with earnings. Spotify reported last week, right, if I'm not mistaken. So Spotify did report last week. So this right here was actually the gap that we were talking about in a previous live stream. So this right here was the gap that I mentioned in white. By the way, all the gaps are going to be labeled in white, right? So it actually filled the gap perfectly. So we can actually go ahead and remove this. But now I do think that it's going to be a little bit of a range-bound pattern where there is going to be some resistance at closer to this 240 level for Spotify. And there's going to be some support at close to $211 a share. And again, we've swing traded this stock as well in the past. Ranjit says AMD will hit $110 again today before it goes down. Don't sleep today to see your target. Yes. So hopefully we get to 110 once again. Set auto sell cat your dream run on AMD, don't miss. Yeah, the only problem is that if I would have set out an alert on my account, like for like a limit sell, then it won't. The alert on Discord won't go out. So I would actually do it the next morning. So I want to be able to send out real-time alert. So that's why I actually did not set a limit sell, because I knew that if I were to go to sleep, if that order got executed, I would have to send out the alert to Discord members the next morning, which obviously wouldn't be good because the markets would be closed. So that's why I completely removed the order altogether. But today I'll actually just set a limit order and then also send out the alert at the same time. But we got about 2 minutes left for the markets to open. What do you guys think? Green or red day in the markets? Let me know in the live chat what you guys think is going to happen today. Is it going to be a green day or a red day ahead of the unemployment report that's coming out later this week? So Amazon, hope it recovers. Yes, makes two of us. It will. I feel confident in Amazon as well, in Amazon's ability to do really well in the future. So red, mixed again, red day, sideways. Yeah, that's why I want you guys to be cautious, right? We want to be really cautious and be alert during times like these, is because the valuations, right? Valuations, a lot of different indicators are suggesting or pointing to a potential pullback, which is exactly why we are. Yeah, Kanal, that's a great suggestion. So next time, just say that you have put a sell order. Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, is like just put in the alert section that I have a limit sell at this price. Yeah, so that's why I want you guys to continue to kind of have some buying power available, because there are going to be plenty of deals. It's always, in hindsight, it just feels like, we could have seen this coming, but in the moment, it just feels like, correction, I don't see that happening, right? But when it happens, it's always like, the valuations were too high. Of course this happened. So that's why it's important for us to constantly monitor where we're trading from a valuation perspective, and just from a technical level as well, right? As the markets continue to hit new all-time highs. So yeah, Corsair is down. We broke down the stock earlier today. You guys are more than welcome to check out the previous analysis. We broke down the earnings, both the first quarter and the second quarter earnings report. And then the stock was down over 7%. I'm actually going to be buying more, just not on live stream here, but I will be doing that right after I get off this live stream for Corsair Gaming. So yeah, this right here is going to be the bottom left chart. We got about 12 seconds left for the markets to open. And this right here is going to be Alibaba. That's down over 2.5%, trading as low as 195. We also broke down Alibaba's earnings report. Tesla is still up over 1.3%, and NIO is pretty much down at the moment. All right, so the markets are open now. So Schiller ratio, yes, so the highest valuation that we've seen in a very long time. I wouldn't say in history, but it is in a very long time that we've seen the highest levels for valuations. All right, so we had an alert go off. I missed it. So Upstart is at 134. Upstart finally starting to see that breakout to the upside. There we go. Up another 2%. So 134.50. That's the resistance that we're now starting to break out over after a really long time, right? This is part of our swing trade. Target sits at 169, 170 levels. I'm going to be watching for Upstart. So that stays intact. All right, let's take a quick scan on the markets here. Mara is down over 1.2%, 1%. Maybe I'll buy a little bit of Mara. So AMD is at 109.22. I'm actually going to, here, let me do this live very quickly because AMD is pushing higher. It's always hard to do this or trade when you're doing live streams. For Corsair support, this is actually a great question. We have not really gone over that. But for Corsair, I am going to be, it's kind of like in this get ready for AMD in 110, 5 minutes. It's kind of like in this no man's territory here. So previous resistance I'd have to watch at 2650 for Corsair Gaming. So right here, previous resistance, which potentially could act as some type of a support for the stock right now. So that right there is going to be the level to watch for Corsair Gaming at 2659 levels. All right, so we got, all right. Just give me 1 second, you guys. I just have to pull a small limit order here. Okay. So yeah, I mean, let's take a look. So Tesla still up over 1.4%. Corsair is starting to pull back over 9% on the day. NIO's down over 1.5% here. We've got Alibaba that's down over 3%. Peloton's down up over 16. So Mara is still down over 2% here. Let's take a quick scan on the markets and see what's actually trending on the day. Corsair, again, we went over. Roblox is down over 3%. We got AMC that's down over 1.5%. GME that's down over 3% as well. Unity Software. Oh, look at NIO. Buyers really stepping in all of a sudden here. NIO's so all over the place, I feel like. It just, in the morning, it'll kind of give you these false breakdowns and breakouts, and all of a sudden, in a snap, it just turns around and goes the exact opposite direction. DraftKings is down slightly. Spotify, Palantir, Square, Coinbase slightly down. So AMC, that alert's going off that it's now starting to trade down at $34. Square's pulling back after the rally that we saw yesterday. It's down about 0.5%. And then Vertex is up over 34 basis points. Enphase is up over 4.5%, right? Enphase is actually doing really well as well. Nvidia up to $200 now, back up to $200. Tesla at 720, SoFi at almost $16. That's the level that we've been watching for SoFi at $16. Upstart, look at that, it's up over 1.8%, now trading at 135.34. Upstart really catching some bids here and now starting to push higher. We're now starting to kind of absorb a lot of that supply, I feel like, for Upstart. There was plenty of resistance and sort of like supply here between 134.50 to 139 levels, and now we're starting to really kind of get more and more of that momentum, right, for Upstart. So Upstart, look at that, 139, really starting to push higher here. All right, I just need to send out an alert here very quickly. By the way, again, if you guys want to get those real-time alerts, the link is going to be down here in the description. I'm just going to send out a quick alert here. Snowflake is also up over 3.5%, so that's really good. Let's take a quick look. Wow, it's starting to break out over that resistance at 270.91, right? So really pushing higher here. All right, so Neo's starting to pull back once again. Seeing that breakdown. Down about 1.3. Alibaba 194. I think Alibaba is a great value here. You know, that's just facts here. So Alibaba remains to be very undervalued at the moment. And let's take a look at Tencent, and let's take a look at the Chinese stocks here. Wow, all are pretty much red at the moment, including NetEase. Did anybody hear about this? NetEase over here at $95.80. So Ryan, not yet. The order hasn't been filled yet. I'm just waiting because it's a limit order. So yeah, as soon as that happens, then I'll just send out the alert. But yeah, NetEase is down over 8.8%. This is also a Chinese stock or Chinese company, I believe. That basically sold off along with Tencent Holdings, right? So this right here was a huge gap down that we saw over 10% for the company. All right, so Enphase is continuing to push higher here. Let's take a quick recheck on this. Let's take a look at AMD on this one. $109.85 is the high for the day. Look at that, $109.74, 75, almost at 110. It may get filled here. So Blue Guy is asking a great question. Is it worth subscribing for his live alerts? How much profits do y'all make? Oh, there we go. Did you just hit 110? All right. Ranjit was right. We're gonna hit 110 again today. All right, let's see which stocks are actually red here, like really red. CRSR is the obvious one. Then we got GME, of course, GME, Roblox, AMC, Baba selling off. Then we got Lemonade, QuantumScape's down, Coinbase. See if we can actually find something in a different watch list. So, yeah, AMD is going really higher, so that's good. That's good. But look at that. It's just amazing that it's just at 110 now. This was like a price target that, you know, didn't really. I believe that it was gonna hit that level, but this is more like a year-end price target. But we already got there like 4 months early, so that's fantastic. AMD 110, yep. All right, so let's take a look at these SPY holdings. So Carnival Cruise Lines, American Airlines, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, they're all down, you know, between 2.5–2% each. Lemonade, so Delta, DraftKings are all down a little bit. So nothing's like too severely down except for CRSR Gaming. That is perhaps an Alibaba, like some of the companies that reported their earnings that are down most, but everything else is pretty like stable, I should say, and green for the most part. So markets over here, we got the QQQ is they're 10 basis points in the green. The SPY is pulling back down about 3 basis points, pretty much flat on the day, and we got Dow Jones is pretty much flat on the day as well. So end phase price target. Right now, I'm still like in the middle of doing some due diligence on the company. It's at $200 in the meantime, like pretty much at all-time highs at $200, $221, right around those resistance levels. But we'll see what the EBITDA numbers look like. I also have to go over the earnings call because it was just like so many different earnings for so many different companies. So I still have to look into like the EBITDA numbers, fundamental, like technical analysis on the companies as well to really go over what the future price target is going to look like. Right now, there's a couple companies that I feel like are undervalued at the moment. Some of them are Walgreens. Another one is Vertex Pharmaceutical. So yeah. All right, so NEO is pulling back down over 2%. $44 is the level that we need to kind of hold up as support. AMD now at 110.50 levels. Tesla we've got at 715, so starting to pull back intraday as the SPY also pulls back over here, and so does the Dow Jones. And we got CRSR kind of remaining flat here. Alibaba also at 193. Let's just go over some of the other stocks. So Coinbase down to 230. Coinbase has a resistance at 246, right? That's the level that we need to watch as a resistance, right? That's the level that it needs to break out of. Upstart, let's quick update on that stock. See, that's one of the things that happens with Upstart almost every time. Like I can tell you that this is almost an identical pattern that we've seen in the past. There was resistance, there is supply here inside this box, the red rectangle. That's exactly why I have this here, is because we're getting rejected at that level yet again, right? So Upstart, high for the day, 139, back down to 133. It's so volatile, and there is selling pressure at that level because we've seen bigger orders at that price point, right? There's always been sellers sitting, and until we absorb all that supply, I personally don't see like Upstart breaking out successfully. So 134.50 is going to be so 134.50 is going to be the resistance that it needs to break out of. So Vertex back up to over $200 here. $205 is the resistance on the day. So NEO, yeah, there's just so much volatility for NEO and for Tesla too, back up to 721. It's like people can't make decisions here. Robinhood up over 2%, back up to $30. Honestly, I have not even looked at any fundamental analysis on Robinhood. I don't want to, and I'm just not investing in this company because I just don't want to. It's just not particularly, like, in my opinion, this is a company that I was actually with Robinhood for a long time. I was using them as my broker, but then because of the lack of customer support and just like lack of support in general from the company, I just decided, you know what, better move to another broker, and just like left Robinhood, and I have nothing to do with the company anymore. So I haven't looked into any of the fundamentals. I know that they make money on order flow, which I also think is very, it's like shouldn't be allowed. Like, it's not allowed in a lot of countries, but if that's how they actually make their money, that's completely fine. But not investing in it at all. So Drew says great buying opportunities over the next year. Which company are you talking about over here, Drew? So yeah, we could take a look into that as well. But Robinhood, yeah, still up 2%, but not investing in it, not looking into it at all. So DISCA, so Discovery is down over 5%. So they didn't report their earnings, but they are still down. Let's see if we actually can find something here from Discovery. So this is August 3rd, okay. So Discovery posts higher Q2 profit as revenue rises. So on Tuesday reported second quarter earnings at $1 per share diluted, up earnings from 40 cents, more than 100% increase year over year. Analysts estimated at 51 cents, so huge beat on EPS. Revenue came in at $3.06 billion compared with $2.54 billion a year ago, and the street estimate was $2.98 billion. So revenue beat, EPS beat for the company, and estimates on higher paid subscriptions. And the stock is, of course, down over 5%. So Discovery's also been like down substantially from after the whole Archegos event, I believe, with the Viacom and stuff. Yeah, so it's just been trending down, trading below the 50 EMA. You'll notice that strong downtrend for the company. Support level here is going to be right there, at closer to this $27 level. Like, we literally validated that level on July 19th before seeing that move to the upside once again. Alright, so VIX is up, now back up to 1964 as the SPY continues to pull back a little bit. So, I mean, it's still like not really that much of a drop, with the S&P 500 index, actual index fund, pretty much flat on the day. And DJI is also down about 56 points, so not a huge deal. This has happened like almost time and time again, right? We've just seen the NASDAQ and the Dow kind of fluctuate back and forth. When the NASDAQ is green, the Dow basically sells off intraday, and kind of like vice versa. So Sadek, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name, but thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. If you guys don't mind smashing the like button, it really help out the channel, and of course push this stream out to other people as well. The yields, 10-year yields now down to 1.16, so really pulling back on the day here. Tesla and NIO always have these longer wicks. It's just so much indecision for these companies right at the open. All right, let's put up BABA here. Let's put up AMC stock here. So AMC now really pulling back here. I want to take a look at AMC's volume over the last like few days. So next support, you guys, if anybody is trading AMC or investing in AMC, support level to watch is going to be at roughly $31 to $32. We are getting rejected at those moving averages. Closer to $40 level is the resistance for AMC here. And the volume, you'll notice the volume has actually been lower for the company. They've actually got earnings coming up. If this calendar is right, by the way, does anybody know if this AMC Networks is actually the AMC Networks that we're looking into, or is it like different? Because I know that they had like an annual general meeting last week, but I don't know if that's actually the actual company reporting their earnings or not. So if anybody has that information in the live chat, feel free to share that. But earnings, of course, are going to be a huge catalyst for the company. But we do need volume to pick up for this stock to actually move back up in the 40s $45, $50 per share levels. So AMC Network is AMCX. Yeah, that's what I figured. So I don't know why TradingView is showing August 4th as the earnings here, unless this company is also reporting earnings, but this is not on the calendar here. Yeah, so I don't know why TradingView has like August 4th as their earnings, which is like tomorrow. But anyway, $32, $31 is support here to watch for AMC. $40 is going to be resistance, still getting rejected at that 50 exponential moving average. All right, so let's take a quick look here. Enphase, look at that, up over 9% on the day, almost at $200 now. Well, breaking out over $200. So it's a $200 resistance, now starting to break out over here. 217, 220 is going to be the next level to watch. That's the all-time high for the company. And like coming in from May 7th, May 8th, like this stock has been absolutely charging higher, 84% gain, almost doubling in price, right? Strong move to the upside for Enphase Energy. So Pinterest recovering a little bit, so 2.7%. It's got a massive gap over here that it needs to kind of fill in. So this right here is going to be the gap that we're going to watch for Pinterest. Strong numbers. Monthly active users declined 7% year over year, which in my opinion is very warranted considering that we're seeing reopening of the economy. People are not spending as much time on social media, so they're seeing a small drop. But revenue was good, EPS was good, future guidance was good. So an average ad revenue per user also increased. So all in all, I think it was a good report. This was an overreaction considering the RSI, the MACD still oversold. Support level to watch is going to be at close to $53. Resistance sitting roughly at 62 per share first, all the way at $66 a share. All right, how to access my charts on TradingView? Do you mean like how to access my charts or how to access your charts on TradingView? So you want to clear that up, and I'm more than happy to give you an answer. So look at the VIX, our volatility index here, slowly creeping back up to over 20 levels, up almost 3% on the day. What do you guys think about that? The NASDAQ here down about 7 basis points. We got the S&P down 16, the Dow over 25. Starting to see a little bit of a pullback, aren't we? NASDAQ here was getting a little bit of a divergence, right? Negative divergence, bearish divergence, what we were talking about. We're seeing a bit of a pullback at 14,800 as a resistance. So we'll see. We'll see if we actually do get some more weakness from the broader markets. The VIX really pushing higher. So next level over 20 is going to be 25, right? That's the next resistance to watch. There we go. Tesla now really pulling back at 713. NEO at 2.5% down. $44 still the level that we need to hold up. AMC down almost 4%. We got Alibaba now down to 192, down over 4% here. So HUYA, this is a company that we just looked at pre-market. Seems like it's pulling back here. So yeah, coming down to its support. I think this is like a support from 2020. This support here, down over 7.5%. I really do need to do some more research on this to really understand why it's been selling off so much. So can you make a video on how to perform a fundamental analysis? Yes, Anchor, we do have a video, a tutorial on fundamental and technical analysis for all of our members. If you're part of that, I will also be doing another tutorial in the month of August, and we'll be giving you guys access to my spreadsheet, which goes over the price targets, how to calculate price targets, and also go over everything that you need to learn about from a fundamental analysis standpoint. So that's going to be this model right here that we actually built. Goes over like free cash flows, earnings, EBITDA, debt, all those different things that we need to kind of understand over here. Goes over all of these things. It'll give you like a full, comprehensive, detailed analysis on the company from a fundamental standpoint, and then of course the price targets that I have on that particular stock as well, and your analyzed rate of return for the next 5 years. You can kind of tailor it to however you want. If you want to look into like specific years, like for the next 2 years, 3 years, you can kind of tailor it as well. But But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. Fundamental analysis, like you're asking about that. Most people are interested in the technical side of things, but fundamentals, I don't get a lot of questions about those, even though I feel like those are very important. The valuations and the fundamentals in general for the company. But that's good. So how do you split the screen in four? Something we covered in our yesterday's live stream, but it's going to be this right here. It's a 4 split over here. That's going to be the one to watch. So melting candles. We got the Nasdaq down over 15. We got the S&P down 16. We got the Dow down 27. Not a huge drop. I mean, it's just pretty normal, I should say. Like IWM, which is the Russell 2000, that's actually dropping a little bit more. You know what? Let me just split this 4 ways if I can do that. Oh, there it is. So 4 ways we're going to put IWM. We're going to put the 30-minute chart. So yeah, that's the Russell 2000 ETF, small cap, mid cap, down about 90 basis points. So down more than the Nasdaq, than the S&P, than the Dow. So we're seeing that move to the downside here. All right, so let's take a look at a couple stocks here. You guys won, so sold Tesla and bought Amazon. That's great. Thoughts on Penn Gaming? So I use the TradingView charts. I use the TradingView platform here for the analysis. So everything is on TradingView. This is the platform that I like to use. So Penn National Gaming, with the reopening of, well, now with the Delta variant and the new number of cases, it's like a lot of uncertainty. And I was actually mentioning this to one of our Discord members as well. Anything that has to do with recovery right now should be put on hold, in my opinion, until we have some more further information on what's going to happen in weeks to come, right? Because you'll notice that a lot of recovery plays, if you come down to the SPY holdings, a lot of the recovery stocks, including airlines, cruise lines, are just getting hit here, down over 2.5–3% each. MGM down over 2%. We got Delta Airlines down over 1.3%. So it really is a little bit uncertain once again, I should say, especially for recovery plays. So I'd wait on kind of entering as a swing trade on these, even though like it's incredibly oversold, considering that we have sold off so much from all-time highs. But I just wait on those. Support closer to $62–63 a share. That's a level that we've kind of validated here in September and also validated in July. So, and of course the resistance is going to stay put at close to this $85–86 a share. So Zillow, you'll notice that we are still coming down to the support level at close to $103–104 a share. That right there is going to be the level to watch. And this again is similar to our analysis with Open Door, Redfin, some of those companies that are in the real estate sort of sector here that do offer like that platform, do a lot of volume, traffic, transaction fees. That's how they actually make their money. Because if they're not a lot of inventory, then they are going to struggle a little bit right now. So $103 is a support level to watch for Zillow at the moment. So Tesla really pulling back down to $7.11 here, and the NIO's still holding about $44. We got AMC now starting to curl back higher, down only 2.5%. Alibaba is also starting to push higher, recover a little bit as well. Ooh, look at that. Mara is down over 3.5%. Might be time to buy some more. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I'd say it's like pretty normal day for the markets as well. Not really much going on except for Corsair Gaming and Alibaba and some of the companies that have reported their earnings. But yeah, all right, so we've been doing this for about an hour and a half. So thank you so much for everybody who joined in. I really appreciate you guys. So we're going to cut it right here, and I'm going to spend some time with our Discord members. If you're not already a part of it, you know where to go. But thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day. The markets are decent. I wouldn't say it's like too bad right now. The VIX is the only one that I want you guys to monitor. A couple things. I want you guys to watch the VIX, right, well over 20. So yeah, we do have more availability for the spots here. So they should you should have access to that if you kind of refresh that page. should be all set now, Anchor. So you can kind of check that out. So again, thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate you guys' support. Make sure that you smash that like button. It really helps out the channel. And as always, hope you guys have a great green day. Alright, so it's showing 0, so I'll have to go in and kind of do some adjustments there. But thank you so much for watching in. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.